All right, now I got to share.
Hey, this is Troy Taylor with the Championship Football Coaches Clinic on Totem Sports. We got Dan Beard here today, linebacker coach at Millersville. How you doing today, Dan?
Doing great, Coach. I appreciate your time. On behalf of Millersville University, our head coach J.C. Morgan, our defensive coordinator Matt Suchak. It's awesome to present with you guys today, and just appreciate you guys tuning in.
So, Coach, you're going to be talking about the three safety defense today. Can you just tell Totem Pole Nation and the Championship Football Coaches Clinic a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm Dan Beard. I'm the special teams coordinator, linebackers coach. I've been here at Millersville since 2018. Was very blessed with the opportunity to come over here when our head coach, J.C. Morgan, was hired. Have been here for the past 5 years. We finished the season, really well in the PSAC, third in the PSAC conference. We won 5 out of our last 7 games, and we've used this style of defense the past couple of years. Our defensive coordinator, Coach Suchak, and I have really worked well together, and Coach Suchak's been awesome to work with. And just I've been coaching for 12 years. My first coaching job was at Allegheny College in Western Pennsylvania, and then from there I had stops at McDaniel College, Shippensburg, Alvernia, and then here at Millersville, where I've been since 2018.
So we appreciate you coming on, Coach. And, I know this defense, the three safety defense, is kind of what everybody's studying right now, because of TCU. We're looking forward to hearing you, and thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. So let me just make sure I got my screen shared. I'm trying to figure out how to have. Let me know. Yeah, that's what I want. I want full share there. Boom. You guys got that?
Yeah, I'm going to add it to the stream right now, Coach. So it's up right now.
Awesome. So, yeah, I'll get rocking. And like I said, Coach, if you've got any questions or anything as we go through this, don't hesitate. Really, just excited to present. We've got some really good players here. And just a great staff, great university as a whole. So just very appreciative, to do that. Kind of an outline of what we're going to talk about today. We'll talk about, basically playing defensive football, 9 on 11 and 10 on 11, different contours of coverage, a 3-down structure, 3-down drop 8 coverages, some 3-down 4-man rushes, some 5-man rushes. I don't know if we'll have time to get to the last two, but, again, just kind of give some foundational points of the 3 high safety defense that you're looking at. And, kind of from a context of us, we started studying it around 2018, 2019. We studied a lot of, Iowa State stuff, Texas when Todd Orlando was there, and just Baylor as well, and just really kind of blended it, a lot of the rules. So kind of an outline of what we're going to kind of cover today. One thing when you talk about, defensive philosophy, really whether you're sending pressure, you're dropping into coverage, you're pressuring an area of the field. And when you're doing that, you got to know, obviously, 9 on 11, 10 on 11 is the quarterback, a runner, where your numbers advantage is at, where can you get a +1, a +2, where can you win matchups, where do you feel your personnel is better than, against the offensive personnel, are your option fits sound? Do you have a dive player, a quarterback player, pitch fit player? What area of the field are you trying to take away? What are you showing pre-snap? What are you trying to get to post-snap? So I think these are all questions in any of your defensive calls. You want to make sure what you're kind of looking at. Something we try to do here as a staff consistently. First thing we'll talk about is and we teach this to our guys is, in the run game, you basically got a 9 on 11 advantage if the quarterback is not a threat to run the ball. What that means is that, if you get a basic inside zone play where either under center or the quarterback's not a threat to run the ball, once he hands the ball off, all right, you now really have 9 blockers because the quarterback's usually not going to block anybody, and the tailback that's carrying the football, he can't block anybody. So defensively, structure-wise, you have a +2 numbers advantage. And knowing that you have that +2 numbers advantage, now it's where do you place your guys, to get that numbers advantage. Now, if you're playing a team where the quarterback is more of a run threat, that defense is at a +1 advantage. You lost the +2 because now you have to occupy the quarterback with another player. But again, at a certain point, when that ball is handed off, that offense, is going to get back to that 9 on 11 principles where you have a +2. And this is kind of a foundational piece. defensively is that, know where your numbers advantage is at. Know, hey, is that quarterback a running threat? Is he not a running threat? And once you do that, you're able to get a numbers advantage. And again, when you start talking about, starting pressures and blitzing, and do you blitz? Do you send 5? Do you rush 4? Do you drop 8? The nice thing in this structure of this defense is you can be simple but multiple. You can have a lot of less new teaching of coverages. You have 4 and 5 man pressures that don't have to change the back end piece of the coverage. And again, I think in any defense, the 3 points there, you want to make sure you're doing those in any of your calls. You want to show pressure and bring it opposite. You want to show pressure and drop out, and then you want to show it and actually bring it. And again, by doing those 3 things, you can keep, an offense guessing. So when you're talking about, again, the structure of this defense and putting pressure over an area, there's a lot of different things you can do. You can send, a 3-man rush and drop 8. You can have a 4-man rush and drop 7 with some twist games. You can have a 5-man rush with a 6-man coverage scheme. You can send 6 and have a 5-man coverage scheme. And then you can send 7 where you've got 4 guys in coverage and then peel text with your edge blitzer. So, again, identifying what type of, pressure you want to do and then how you're going to do it and then what category that does it fit into. So now we kind of get into, this 3-high deal. Why has this become such a big, a defense? Why are a lot of people going to it? When first, I think you got to understand is, how do offenses identify coverages? Or, what kind of, backfield, or defensive backfield set are you given? What kind of contour you're given? So when you get, kind of a 1-high shell or a 1-high contour, whatever you want to call it, your possible coverages you're looking at are cover 1, cover 3, some version of cover 5, some version of cover 6 that you're going to roll to it. But a lot of times that's what the offense is looking to identify. You've got a 1-high shell, you got the middle field closed. Okay, hey, are you in some version of cover 1 or cover 3? And then again, offenses will have their vertical horizontal stretches pass game wise, out of that. The next thing you've got is, hey, do you have a rounded contour? Do you have, a 2-high shell, 2 corners? Hey, now you've got, the middle of the field open. You've got, 2 flat defenders. You've got 2 half field defenders. So again, you have, that middle hole shot and then the outside hole shots, so the coverages you get are cover 2, 2-man, some kind of version of, roll cloud, whether it's to the field, whether it's to the boundary, with the contour that you're showing. So why this is important is, as a defensive coach, you got to understand what pre-snap picture am I presenting to the offense, and, what generally our offense is going to do to attack that pre-snap picture. You can have a flat contour where you have your cover 0, your cover 4, where, you have your back end all flat across. And then again, from there, it's knowing that, all right, hey, you still have the middle field, open. You don't have it closed. Hey, you've got 4 across. You're getting some kind of match man coverages. And again, it's straight across the top. So why teams have started to go to this 3-high deal is that, by closing that middle of the field with that extra safety, dime, nickel type player, is that now, you can keep, the 2-high safeties, but you haven't, opened the middle of the field. So now you can play whatever you want. You can play at what is as pictured, your drop 8 Tampa 2. You can play some kind of version of cover 1. You can play some kind of version of cover 3, some kind of version of match quarters where you still have the middle of the field protected versus the post ball. So the nice thing is, you have that 3-high shell where now the offense doesn't have a pre-snap indicator of, hey, is that a 1-high shell? Is that a 2-high shell? So you're kind of combining the best of both worlds, of the different coverages. And again, now you make it a little bit tougher for that quarterback, to identify, all right, what exactly are they in with that pre-snap picture. We'll kind of start the talk today. We'll talk about, that drop 8 Tampa 2 with the middle of the field closed, and how it combines, those flat rounded, contours, and again, what you're looking at here, this picture is basically you're getting a version of Tampa 2. You've got 2 curl defenders, that are reading 2 to 1. You've got 2 flat defenders, you've got a low hole player, 2 half field defenders, and then a middle of the field closed player as well. So again, when you look at that, you've got basically this 3-high shell where everything is closed, okay? And then you have 5 underneath defenders and you're rushing 3, okay? Now, the one thing is a lot of people look at this and say, well, it's just a pass game call. Well, the nice thing is, when we'll get into it here, is that the run fits are really good as well, with this coverage. So again, kind of what we talked about there with all the different, coverages, contours, things that you're looking at, and structurally, what you're getting into. So, kind of getting into this thing, you've got 3 down, you've got kind of basically a 5-spoke secondary, so when we're looking at this thing, again, we've got that 3-high shell, we've got, our 3 backers, our 3 D linemen, our 2 corners, with what we're looking at. You can see in that picture there, again, we've got the middle of the field closed. We're not really giving that quarterback a pre-snap picture of, hey, is this one high? Is this too high? And again, it really makes that quarterback guess a little bit more with what you're dealing with. The other nice thing is, with this is you can start in the same shell and then get to what you want to do. Now, the nice thing is it's not just a coverage piece. In this defense, up front, we're playing some 4-eye techniques, a shade, a 4-eye. And, in that, by playing those things, we're occupying those B gaps, and again, making run schemes, difficult as well. So again, it's really, knowing, again, what we're giving that offense pre-snap and what they're going to try to do to attack it. The cool thing in this defense is everybody kind of says, it's really become in vogue with Iowa State, with Baylor, Texas, the Big 12. But when you really look at it, you go back to the 50s with Bud Wilkinson and Gomer Jones, and they wrote a book called Modern Defense, and they're basically running the same defense, the 5-spoke secondary defense. Now, the only difference is instead of being spread with 2x2 or 3x1, they were all tight formations, tight ends, I-back, T formation stuff, but it's the same concepts. And again, football being cyclical, everything comes back around is that, the same type deal is that by having this 5-spoke secondary, you have layers of the defense. And again, you're not tipping off what you're doing pre-snap. From a front standpoint, you'll look at, we've got a couple fronts. So again, we're in our base front here. We'll play with basically 2 5-techs, 2 4-eye techs, inside shade of the tackle. We'll have a 1-tech outside shade of the center. So again, really being able to play gap sound there. Again, it's a gap defense where we're gapping everything out. Again, here's our middle safety guy. He's going to make the picture right with as much as we can. We can also set it, to the opposite way. We can go weak with it as well, where we put that shade weak. And again, we'll have the 2 4-eyes as well. If we want to get into some different things, we can put a 5 technique in there, go with a 5 and a 1 and a 4-eye. Again, our run fits won't change with what we're dealing with. Again, we're going to be gap sound, 1 gap principles. And we can set it weak as well if we'd like to with what you're looking at. So when you kind of get into this thing, you're like, all right, well, I've got your front, you've got your coverage piece. Well, what are you trying to do? With your front, you're trying to give the illusion, and you can see of a 4-man box. So you're trying to give the illusion that you have that anchored nose tackle on the mic. So you're trying to bait the offense in, to run the football. But the thing is, if you do that and they run the football, you can insert that middle safety down. You can add your 2 overhang players, and now instead of having a 4-man box, you create a 7-man box. But from a pre-snap illusion, you still have, your 3/2, on both sides. So again, you get your +1, +2 in the box. All right, in the run game, you've created that 7-man box. But on the pass game standpoint, all right, you still have your 3/2 with your coverage piece.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you something about this
yeah, go ahead.
Does it come from the 3-5-3 family, like Charlie Strong and Joe Lee Dunn? I mean, I think that even like
absolutely
Brian Urlacher, when he played in college, I can't remember, but I think he might have played that. What do you call him? A nickel? That middle field guy?
The nickel dime guy. Absolutely. It all comes from that same family, and I think, again, they were playing that 3-5-3 structure, even, early 2000s. I know West Virginia was doing it. And like you said, Charlie Strong in South Carolina, they were doing a lot of that. And I think it's kind of all evolved from that, and really, identifying, where's the missing piece in that. And a lot of times that missing piece was that middle of the field area. Whereas, hey, we can do a lot of the same stuff. It's just, we're starting with that middle of the field close so the offense can't look at it of where to identify. But absolutely, I think all those family trees all come together, Coach.
Thank you.
So kind of sticking with this, we're talking about, the drop 8 concept, and again, it not just being, a run fit, or a pass game call, but also being good versus run fit. But when you look at it is, you've got your corners, you've got your pitch force players, you've got your 2 overhangs, your Rover and Will, they're your box quarterback players. They're going to box all plays. Our Will's a spill quarterback player because he's to the boundary. Our Mike's going to be a spill dive player. And then again, our middle safety guy is going to be that insert. He's going to be that +1 defender. And then again, with the 2 safeties, they can be pitch players as well, depending on the coverage piece. So again, you're just layering the defense out. But if you look at this here, I'll pause this. If you look at this from a pre-snap picture, all right now, we're giving you either, it looks like, a 5-man box with these 2 guys apex, or even a 4-man box if you don't include, the 2 overhangs. So, again, you can get an offense think, hey, we can run inside zone. But, hey, if you run inside zone here, All right, now we can add these two guys to the picture, plus this middle safety, all right, coming down. And now, again, you can get, 7 guys to the run game when pre-snap it looks like that you don't have it type deal. So, again, you can bait the offense into that call. So again, we kind of talked about it, what are you getting out of it? You can get that 3 for 2 or that +1, in a 2x2 set. And we'll talk some different formations as well. But, the premise is understanding that, from a pass game standpoint, you can still get the coverage piece you want. You've got the middle of the field protected. You've got a low hole spy player. All right. You've got your 2-4 eyes. And again, you're able to have a lot of success with that. And again, you kind of talked about earlier with Urlacher is that, again, when everybody used to run Tampa 2, it used to be out of a 4-down structure. I'm just going to draw a guy in here. You're out of a 4-down structure here, and they've made that Mike the middle runner. Well, now instead, we've added a guy here that can play that high hole, so you still have a low hole, and now we're just rushing 3. But our numbers game is really good in both run and pass. And, Coach, if you got any questions, don't hesitate, man. Don't hesitate to pop on in with them. So,
I mean, you're really, really legit, man. This is great.
No problem. Appreciate it. So like I said, all right, now getting it on film here, all right? So right here we've got, basically kind of a 2x1, 2x2 set, depending on what you count. This extra fullback, H-back type. But again, you kind of see the picture. Here we go. We got 3 for 2. All right, here's our middle of the field player, okay? Here's our Mike backer. Here's our rover. Here's our will, okay? Our boundary corner, our weak side safety, our whip, and then our strike. So, again, you can see we're looking at pre-snap pictures. So here you're going to get an outside zone play. All right. Now, the nice thing is we're playing those 2-4-I techniques. So we got this guy in the B gap. All right. We've got this guy here, shade. We're really closing these gaps down. So now our overhang player knows here that, hey, with this B guy being the flat player, he can take this block on and really win either way. Ideally, we'd like him to win on side. But if he wins outside, we're okay. Because this guy right here, our middle safety, is going to insert down, all right, and work inside out on the football. This guy will always make the picture right. Backside here, this guy's going to check for, quarterback, boot, reverse, and then he's going to get in his run fit. Our Mike is a true downhill dive player, so he's going to take his read steps, and now he'll read the shoulders of the back. If that back is working outside, he'll work to shuffle. If that back is pressing the line of scrimmage, he'll shuffle alley press right into it. And as you can see right there, we got a good fit there. All right, keeping them backed up. Here it is from the tight angle. And again, we let these guys play around with the disguise a little bit to have have a little fun. But again, we've got an edge here. Let me go back to my drawings here. You've got an edge here. All right, he's outside tip of that. You've got your corner there. So again, he can win this block. Ideally, we'd like him to win inside. But if he wins it outside, you have your +1 guy that can fit inside here to the box. Your Mike is you reading right here. All right, triangle to the mesh. Okay, and as he's reading that triangle to the mesh, he gets a zone key. All right, so now his eyes go to the shoulders of the back. That back is scraping outside. He's going to work a shuffle alley press. All right, we get a good takeoff here by our 4-eye. All right, right here. Good job here getting inside pad here, the guard. All right, controlling the guard and then making sure he's getting his hips to the hole of the tackle so that O-lineman can't climb. And again, good penetration. We clean it up and it's on no gain, 1 yard gain. On an outside stretch play. And again, you can see here from the film, all right, you can see how that guy, that extra +1, works inside out down to the sideline. All right, and we're in really, really good shape. Okay, same coverage. Okay, different game here. All right, but again, right now we're starting to get some tight inline tight end stuff. All right, we can still apex it right here. We've got a 3-by-1 formation, so we're going to put our outside backer here, apex in number 3 and number 2. Okay, we're getting some pistol stuff. We still have that middle of the field closed. All right, with what we're dealing with, our corner's a little bit deeper. Ideally put him at 5, but with the chains, all right, he's backed up a little bit, kind of ability aligning that. Okay, right here we got play action boot. Went too far there. We're going to get some play action boot here. And again, the one thing you'll see with our linebackers is they're going to take their read steps. They're going to bounce. All right, be nice and patient. Okay, he realizes his boot, and our backer does a really good job here. He realizes he's getting this guy the flat, and he's protecting, anything coming behind him. All right, so good job of staying in coverage. And you can see here, all right, our Mike backer's checking for crosser, okay, all right. We wrap around, all right, we force a throw. All right there, our corner, sloughs off, sinks under. All right, probably doesn't want to turn that way. All right, we'd like him to turn a little bit back to quarterback, not necessarily zone turn or man turn that way, but he puts himself in that vertical window. A corner or safety does a good job of, getting off the hash there, working that hold shot. And you can see this is why the coverage is so good, is that right now, yes, they're attacking the middle of the field, all right, with that number 2 receiver, but the middle of the field is closed with that dime, middle safety nickel closing the field. We have our safety over top. We get a tip ball drill right here, right? Quarterback holds on. This is a really, really good job with the coverage, just holding the routes, all right? We get the pick, and now we're down the sideline. So, again, everybody kind of doing their job there from the coverage piece, from the rush. And again, from the rush lanes, yes, we're rushing 3. They're playing run first, right? We realize it's boot. We're covering all the routes, covering the route, force the quarterback to hold the ball, all right? And we were able to capitalize off of that. So, again, just a good job of everybody doing what they need to do. All right, same
Coach,
coverage. You can see again.
Go back to the tight end trips. Let me ask you about this, because I know these one-back coaches, they classify defenses as balanced or unbalanced, and your defense is balanced. So you're going to get a lot of 3-by-1 sets, some of the tight end trips. So like after watching the Georgia and the TCU game, I guess a lot of people are going to study that. Do you feel like against these tight end formations, that's like 3-by-1 or either trips, I mean, really your defense does. I mean, it basically, they just line up like they line up, right? I mean, it just looks like it's 3 high, and then it's, middle linebacker and then 2 stack guys. But there isn't a lot of moving on your defense and adjusting to formations, is it?
There really isn't. For the most part, you're able to see it. And the other nice thing is this is a full field balanced coverage. You're playing the same coverage across the board. You've got a flat corner, a half field player, a middle of the field player, half field player, a flat corner, a curl defender, and a low holder. So, I mean, you're pretty balanced overall. And then, way we teach it is with the numbers. We're like everybody else, counting outside in. Here's your 3 threats, there's your 4, but we're good because we've got 1 to 2, 3, 4, and this guy 5 defenders. So again, we can push the coverage that way and still be in good shape. And on the backside, we're not just leaving a guy one-on-one. We've got really a 2-on-1 situation from a back end standpoint, and we've got an underneath defender as well if they want to go quick slant. So I think the nice thing is you don't have to check anything in this. It kind of takes care of itself and checks itself, and you really can go into it and play one coverage. You don't have to have a bunch of different variations. And again, if you want to, if you don't necessarily want to apex and you want to roll this guy up, you absolutely can. And you can still stay in the same picture. Same thing, you can put that guy up on the line of scrimmage and show some pressure and now punch out and play a lot of the same coverages. You can show all the guys up and again, getting the same thing, but that premise of closing that middle of the field, is really, really huge right there.
How about in the run game? Because, I mean, you did a good job of going over the passing game there, but in the run game, they have an extra blocker on that side when your defense is balanced. So, like, is it the same thing in the run fits? You still feel good?
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing is this guy, okay? This guy really makes everything right. So, again, from the run game standpoint, let's say we roll this guy up, all right? He can really set a hard edge, win this block. If he gets reached and gets caught, it's okay because, again, we'll set an edge here with the corner, all right? Our safety will be secondary out support. Our Mike's going to work inside out to the sideline, and then this guy can just scream downhill and make that picture right. So, we can gain that numbers advantage. And the big thing, too, is from an upfront standpoint, we're asking – basically these 2 big horses right here to win that B gap. And if we win that B gap, we're going to tie up those 2 blockers. We're going to tie up that guard and tackle as much as possible to keep these guys clean, if that makes sense.
And the guy in the middle of the field, he's almost like a monster. So, I mean, he's inserting to the side where it's the 3-by-1.
Yep, exactly. So, like when you go from a number standpoint is, yes, they've got looks like more blockers, but if we tie these 2 up here, we hold the A gap here, we tie these 2 up here. All right, now we have extra bodies that can roam. We set an edge here. All right, we're inside out. All right, late secondary alley support, inside out. All right here, running the alley, that +1 guy, he can make the picture right. So, hey, if guys get caught inside, he can go outside and set an edge. If guys are outside setting it and knocking it back to him, he can make the picture right. This guy makes it go. He's got to be probably your smartest defender. You're probably the most versatile hybrid guy. That can not only play in coverage, but also, it can come down in the box and make physical tackles at the line of scrimmage.
He's like the Palomalu. I mean, he's like he's the guy.
Absolutely. So, and again, here's the same play just from the tight angle. Again, right here, again, they're running zone here. So our big thing is we're really trying to, hold up this B gap as much as you can, get some vertical penetration, hold this tight end. You can see our backer's doing a great job here. He's nice and patient. He's not flying out of there, in case it's anything back. Reading the mesh point, we've got, good fits there. He does a good job realizing it is pass, but he doesn't come up and leave this guy open. He holds in coverage. And as we just talked from the coverage piece, it kind of works itself out. But, again, from the run game, and there's some run examples here. Let me go to some run examples here. Okay. So this is from this year. Okay. Right here, we're playing East Stroudsburg. They're going to give us some pin and pull here with three pullers. So again, you can see here, we're holding that three high shell. He's probably a little bit too tight down, but we got the same fit, the same coverage. Okay. And again, pin and pull right there. We're going to set an edge. Our corner sits in, and again, with three pullers, it ends up becoming a turnover, and forcing a fumble. But if you look at this, we're showing some disguise. All right, here we go. Pin and pull. We want him to get vertical here. Here's our B gap player. Okay. Working here to the B gap. He's getting vertical. All right, as much as possible to pick off this second puller. All right, our backer does a good job here of getting out here to set the edge. And now they actually have three pullers instead of two, which you normally see with pin and pull. But again, our Mike, we tell him to get inside the second puller. He does a good job of spilling that, taking 2 for 1. Our backer's holding the edge and setting the edge. And then here comes our +1 guy right here running the alley with the other safety. There's your vice fit right there.
Let me ask you this. You might have already answered
all the pieces fitting together.
You might have already answered this, but I mean, it's easy for me to understand, what gap everyone has. But when it comes to that nose guard, is he a 2-gap player? Is he going to the strong set A gap and the middle linebackers making everybody right? Or have you gone over that?
Yep. So when you look at this from a gap standpoint, all right, he's going to have that A gap. These 2 4 eyes, they're going to play the B gap. All right. And then what will happen is the Mike will close the A gap. If the Mike is fast flow over the top, this guy here will work inside out back. And then you have this guy here on backside cutback. So, if these guys, fast flow pursue it and that A gap is open, your overhang, once that ball's handed, can close it. And then again, you have your +1 guy that can make it make sense. You're basically playing a 1-gap defense.
Yes, sir.
With what you're looking at. You're playing some 4-3, 1-gap run fits just from a different structure. If that makes sense. Hope that answers your question.
It does.
So here we go. This is again from this year, right? Got a little jet sweep here. Again, our nose is getting good vertical penetration there, tying up that center guard. It's a great job there by our 4-eye of getting knocked back. And again, you can see here, really good picture. Our Mike's working inside out. All right, our backers sitting the edge, our corners there. Here's our +1. All right, our safeties are staying here just to secure any kind of late pass. And again, it all fits together. We'll see from the tight end, get a little bit better picture there of it. But again, everybody's gap sound, it's fitting. And again, you get your numbers there pre-snap. So if I'm looking at this from here, right here, boom, we've got that gap. There's tying up 2. Good job here. He doesn't let him climb. All right, squeezing from the backside. You can see 41's our Mike. Does a good job shuffling press running the alley. And then 26 there, you can see is our +1 guy. Does a good job being patient. We get the edge set on the outside. Right, and a really good job by number 50 here. All right, even though he doesn't make the tackle, he goes out and takes on those 2 blocks and sets the edge. And then we have the corner slice in, so we've got a really nice fit.
My friend Mike Spencer, who coached with me at Virginia Union, he was big into this. And, he had told me that Bill Belichick with the Patriots, when he game plans, he tries to game plan with 10 people. And then, you basically got that extra guy, that nickel guy, and you can do so much with him, whether it's spying Lamar Jackson or it's putting him on their best player, or you tell that guy, hey, man, you got the running back. It's almost like you can take away something with that nickel. I mean, have you ever heard of this philosophy?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think, the thing is when you look, and I'll just pause here from this, is that you really can play around with this guy. You can show the 2 across, you can put him down, you can get that +1 fit. Like if you're having some issues or something, you need an extra number, you can do some things to where you add that guy down to do it. And the other thing is, once offenses start to pick you up on who that guy is, well, now you can really play with it and just, place in different places. You can do some different things on the coverage piece with the back end of, who that guy's at and disguise it, and I think that's the thing is that, as much as you change it up from the look standpoint, you're still doing a lot of the same things. It just looks really different for the offense. And it looks like you got that guy all over the place. And, it's hard to pick up on the rules, but for our kids, it's very simple to learn.
Yes, sir.
So again, kind of another one here. All right, you can see here we get a little shift pre-snap. So again, hey, if they're trying to identify what we're in or we don't like our numbers, we can roll that up, shift out of it, roll back, and then roll back into it. Again, we were getting at those three pullers here, that three pin and pull against it. All right, really good job here by number one. Isaiah Onishak, he's actually going to be he's a 3-year starter for us, 3-time all-conference player. He's got one more season with us, but he does a great job of just setting the edge here. Boom, takes on that big offensive tackle there, sets the edge. And you can see 41 does a great job. He's working inside out. Boom, he's inside the second puller. 29's checking for the cutback. All right, he's there, part of the pursuit. And then you can see, all right, as our extra nickel dime guy, he's rolling downhill and he's looking to make that picture right. And he's looking where the fit is. We string it out, inside out to the sideline, and we've got a nice TFL right there. We'll get that from the tight angle here in a sec.
How do teams account for that nickel in the run game? Like
what you see a lot of teams are doing, you think you're seeing across football, teams are going back to your 12 personnel, your 2-back stuff. They're trying to get an extra blocker. You know what I mean? And it really, when you're looking at it, football is kind of revolving doors that – what was big back in the 90s with, the I formation stuff, the double tight ends is starting to come back because you can see kind of already with football is, everybody defensively is getting more DB hybrid types in the field. Well, what offenses are now starting to do is you can see them starting to come back to tighter sets, bigger bodies, tight ends, fullbacks, again, personnel matching bodies. So I think the thing is, structurally, defensively, you've kind of got to be ready for spread game, but you've also got to be ready for teams that want to line up in 12 and 2 backs and really just kind of run the ball right at you.
And a good point you just made was, some coaches, they're so caught up on, hey, they got 12 personnel out there. It's 1 back and 2 tights. But, I mean, who knows whether those 2 tights are going to be split out or they're going to be, 11 or it's going to be 10. Like, they can line up anywhere. So you have to be able to, teams just aren't one thing now. They're so multiple, so your defense has to be multiple. It's just the way I'm thinking, as you talk.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things you've got to take. You've got to take, your defensive call, whatever it is, and then match it versus everything you're going to see. Versus, hey, empty, 3-by-1, 2 backs, double inline tight ends, closed trips, double tight end trips, 2 backs, even you saw in, in the bowl games, Penn State went back to the T formation, in the goal line area. So, I mean, you're getting everything. So I think you've got to take whatever call you want to call and whatever defense it is, whether you're a 3-down, a 4-down structure, whether you're quarters, whether you're a big cover 3 man team, whatever you're doing defensively, you've got to make sure that, whatever formations you're getting, that you can match it to it, and again, knowing personnel is good, but, knowing what formations are they getting in that personnel group and the really good teams, like you said, Troy, that coach, they'll be in the same personnel group and they'll give you like 5, 10, 12 different formations, so you got to be ready for it all. But I think, as a defensive staff, you've got to really, look into, all right, hey, whatever we're calling, does it line up to, this formation? Does it line up to this formation? Does it line up to this formation? And then if it doesn't, you've got to have some kind of check to it. If it's not as good a call, you got to know what situations you want to call it type deal. And I think, in the game of football, with it being very, tempo based, there aren't really, true huddles or anything more. Everything's no huddle is that, the simpler you can make it for your players and give them checks, they can kind of call the game themselves, with at ease if you're getting high tempo teams.
And like, I don't even know if I should be doing this podcast. I might talk too much, but like, if I was coaching against you, you're a 3-down, but like, I don't even know if I should say this, but I would like to know, like, how do you get to a 4-down? How do you get to a 5-down? And I guess your stack backers are the guys that make you come into a 4-down or get down into a 5-down, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so, I mean, it's kind of ironic. You kind of got into that is, you start getting those tighter formations is now, you got to roll up those backers and, you're getting tight sets. So, you can play some cover two to it to have some corners, support, or you can, start sending some 5-man pressures at it. You can get to your 4-down stuff, by sending some 4-man pressures as well, structurally. But, again, I think it's identifying, what teams are going to do and how you're going to do it. And the thing is, from your linebacker standpoint is, your middle safety guy, your backers here, you've got to teach them how to play on the line of scrimmage as well as play off the line of scrimmage. So you have to have a versatile skill set and really drill that, fundamentally through the week, of getting them to play fast and be able to, hey, they've got to take on a tight end block. They've got to be able to take on a fullback block right now, but they've also got to be able to, playing coverage and get a good collision in the curl window. So, I mean, just, really incorporating all the skills. I hope that it kind of answers your question.
I mean, it's true because, I mean, just watching this defense, to me, the hardest position to play would be that stack. I mean, I don't know what you call them, but they're like stack backers. The guys that are like, they're the C-gap player, and they're the guys that have to play off the ball. They have to play on the ball. And then, like, if you get power, are those guys – are they spilling it? Are they wrong arming it?
Yeah, great question here. So it'll depend, kind of on the coverage piece. But right here, we're still playing that drop A coverage. So right now, you're going to see we're going to get power here from the tight angle. So right here, what we're looking for, we're going to get down block it. And again, our 4-eye does a great job. He gets vertical penetration right here. All right, he's putting that guy back in the gap. He actually does a good enough job. He actually pick off the guard here. All right, so when you look at this, here's our Mike. All right, here's our field overhang. All right, here's our Will. Okay, so again, we want to occupy that gap, occupy this, boom, here. Right there, we get a good job. The Mike's working to spill it. You can see here, we're working here to hold that edge. Our corner slices in because we're playing that cover 2 concept. All right. You can see our safety is going to insert down late. And then our +1 guy, you can see here, right here, all right, he's patient backside for cutback, but our +1 guy is working here that alley in case that thing does widen back. So again, you're getting your fits, you're getting your spill players, you're playing one gap defense. And I think that's the nice thing about it is, you have the ability to play one gap defense. You can play 2 gap if you need to, but you have that ability to play one gap defense.
Let me see that right now. I want to ask you something because, I mean, they're running power, but they're not accounting for your mic. So, I mean, like, right. Is that way most people block it? Like that tight end and tackle should be working to the mic, and then the wrapper should be on y'all stack. And then they should have the fullback. I mean, I guess the fullback should be, add on whoever the next force player is. Is that? Yeah,
we've seen a bunch of different combinations of power. In terms of the traditional, like you described, Coach, and then even kind of versions of this as well, getting that guy through to getting really 2 at the point of attack. Some teams do a lot of pin and pull stuff where they're getting 2 through the gap as opposed to the 2 outside. So I mean, we see multiple variations. The thing we try to tell our guys is that when you're getting gap scheme, whether you're getting pin and pull, you're getting power, you're getting counter, is that if they're adding 2 gaps, we've got to eliminate 2 gaps with our fits. And I think by teaching it that way to our guys is that regardless of who's doing it, is that as long as we have a guy inside of both of those blocks, we can fit those blocks and spill everything out, east-west to the sideline.
So you want that running back going to the sidelines. You don't want him, boom, everything's spilling.
Yep. We want everything going east-west to the sideline. So we want to be inside and thick on any kind of down low blocks. If I'm the Mike backer and that guard or tackle's coming around right at me, I want to hit it inside and thick and as much as possible spill this thing to the sideline as we can. If we're getting this right at us, obviously we want, this backer here, because we're in the boundary, he can spill it out to the corner because we got the corner sitting out here. If he hits it inside, we're okay because, again, we've got that +1 guy that can fit in the alley and make it right. But as much as possible, we want things to bounce east and west.
Yes, sir.
With that, let me see if we got this is from a year prior. Yeah, again, the nice thing about this is it adjusts really to really anything you're getting. You just saw it against tight formations. Now you're seeing it against, some empty stuff. What you're looking at here, here again, we're playing it now at the passing situation. Our corner, really is probably a little bit too deep here to the boundary, but, again, we've got a 3-man rush. The 3-man rush gets there, and really it's a coverage sack because we're We've got the two low hole players as the curl defenders. Our Mike's our low hole player. We got the middle of the field closed. They're giving us some curl flat, combinations, and we're able to cover it up with that. So, again, I think the nice thing is it adjusts to model things, model formations of what you're seeing. Let me see here. Some three stuff. Let me see if I can get some more. Here we go. We got a counter deal. Okay, now this is from the first year we started playing this. But again, you can see everything here. We're making it right. We're trying to fit everything inside out. You can see here's our extra guy here running the alley. Ball's handed off. We spill it to the sideline. All right, and again, everything that we want to do. See here from the tight angle. We got another power play after this too. So you can see kind of, multiple things. It works here. So, again, our 2-4 eyes are doing a good job. We're working to get knocked back here, push those guys back in the gap. All right. You can see here, they're pulling the guard. Fullback's coming back through as a swab guy. Okay. We do a good job there. Mike, number 4, is inside out, inside and thick. 36 is sitting the edge. And then you can see there how the fit kind of works there with the lines is that here we've got the edge set. Mike's inside out, and there comes our +1 guy running the alley to clean it up, and we got the ball spilled to the sideline. And again, probably even better thing here is we got backside pursuit coming here. All right, here we go. Got power here to the boundary as well. This was against AIC from a year ago. Again, we're keeping that 3-eye structure as much as possible, and I think you can have some fun with it. This guy's smart enough. You can cheat it down. You can play across. You can have some fun with it a little bit. So that you're not always tipping your hand what you're getting. But again, we get really good vertical penetration here by our B-gap player, works to pick off the puller, right? Here comes the fullback around. All right, nice job here by our Will Backer, all right, taking that block on. You can see our corner here, right, becomes our extra fitter. Our safety secures this route over the top in case it is off of play action. And then you can see, we're running the alley down there once the ball's handed off. Here it is from the tight. Now I got a lot of lines drawn there, but you can see there with the fifth coming around. All right, we want to get those again. If they're adding 2 gaps, we want to put blockers in those 2 gaps, spill everything out inside and thick. All right. So again, even though we'd like our Will to hit that inside, he hits it outside, but our safety guy makes him right by running the alley. So we take care of that fit, and again, ends up being a TFL and a big play for us. Here's some more counter, kind of everything that we talked about. Really good job here. All right, now again we play with a 5 tech here. All right, and you can play around with your fronts a little bit. You're still playing 1 gap responsibility stuff, but here he does a really good job of getting underneath, spilling that kick out. Picks up the fullback and then just kind of blows up the whole play here. And off it, good spill. Mike's working over the top. You can see our rover folds in. Cutback play here is working down. So just a really good job up front there by those guys. Okay, another pin and pull type deal. So again, they're adding 2 gaps. We've got to, put 2 guys in those gaps. Just really doing a good job stringing it out. And obviously 1 to 2 yards, maybe too many. Should have probably made the tackle in the backfield, but you can see again. All right, we want to spill that. And again, by playing that hard corner out here, this guy knows that he can take that inside and thick and put that guy back in the gap. And he does a decent enough job that it forces that second puller to have to wrap around tighter. 52 is doing a good job of working here in the 5 technique, the tight end down blocks, of pressing that tight end back to get in that second puller's way. 41, is working inside out to shuffle. And again, we've got the fit we want. And you can see real late here, number 6 comes in the picture. He's our extra +1. So again, just, you're playing 1 gap defensive principles. It just looks different pre-snap. Here he goes against the trips bunch. So an RPO here, or play action. Again, corner Bateson right here, takes it, and then, makes a big play off of it. So again, you have that ability, with your corners, you're playing them as hard slice corners. You can see from the back end piece, you've got half field, middle of the field closed, your 2 curl players underneath, and then you're kind of working inside out to the football.
And with all the down the field RPOs and, sticking the ball in there and throwing a glance or slant, I mean, when you have so many guys off the line of scrimmage, you really don't know who's going to be there and who isn't when the ball snaps.
Yep.
And, I think
Yes.
this defense is kind of an answer to being able to play zone coverage against, those down the field RPO teams. I mean, what do you think about that?
No, I absolutely agree. Let me see if I can get a blank diagram. I can kind of draw you through some stuff with that. Give me 1 second here. But I absolutely agree with you. I think by having that, you don't necessarily know who you're going to be able to read. And it makes it a lot cleaner than what it was. As you're looking at it.
Because
so,
by y'all's pre-snap alignment,
yep.
It's almost like you're forcing their hand, like, hey man, you got to run the ball because you can't throw it in there because we got it's a possibility for us to have 8 guys, in coverage. And one of our guys is going to go right up underneath in one of those glance routes and crib it. So.
Absolutely. Like I said, I totally, totally agree with you. Let me see here. I think I found a blank template here. Yeah, here we go. Starting 2 by 2. Actually, I got some blank templates. Let me reshare my screen here. Share screen. There we go. Perfect. Can you see that, Coach?
Yeah, I got to share the screen. I got to share it.
Gotcha.
There you go. All right, it's good.
Awesome. So kind of what you were talking about, with RPO stuff. Draw this quickly. So again, if we're staying with that structure, is that from an RPO standpoint, we're teaching these guys right here, they need to see this mesh point, right? Mm-hmm. By doing that, they're going to bounce their feet. So the thing we tell them is if they're going to read us, we're going to read them. So, they're giving you that mesh. They're sitting there bouncing their feet, kind of deer in the headlights type look. So, again, make that read, very tough for that quarterback to see. So if he's not sure, what you're going to get is obviously he's going to hand it off because he's not sure what to get, which you've done your job. The nice thing by sitting there is, and again, reading the mesh point with these 2 guys is that if they want to put any kind of slant behind you or glance or, run this guy off and put this guy back, that's fine. They can do that because right now your eyes are right here. You're not moving. If they want to pull and throw the slant, you're right there in that window at 5 yards to break on it. So, again, I think it makes it tough. And you're looking at this pre-snap is, really who are you going to read? A lot of teams are starting at third levels, reading the third level of, the RPO of like, hey, if this guy drops down, they'll start to, throw post balls and stuff. Some teams are doing the like the pin and pull RPO post or pin and pull counter post. Well, the thing is, yeah, you may get this guy down, but you still have this guy here that can help on the post ball. So you're really eliminating with these 3 guys, that middle of the field area. With your underneath defenders, you're not putting them in conflict by having them see the mesh point of where the ball's at. You know what I mean? I think, and this probably took me the longest to kind of learn was that, as a linebackers coach, I was always brought up, hey, you're reading the line keys. Now our Mike still does to an extent, and it has to be a part of your read. But, for the longest time, it was that, hey, the line's not lying to you, the backfield is. Well, I think that's kind of flipped in the past, maybe decade is that, you're getting, a lot of teams that are pulling guys to pull guys, and they're actually lying more than the backfield set. So, we teach our guys, hey, if you're reading that mesh point, bouncing your feet, you're going to be able to kind of see, what you're getting there. If that makes sense. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, it does. And I watched Alabama a couple years ago, and I'm watching that walk player or that stack backer, like the guy that plays to the running back side, like he seemed like he was very, very aware that a ball could be thrown behind him. So he played at home and he was jumping up in the air, like batting that thing down. I asked Mike Spencer, I said, what is that? He said, that's a 5-star. I said, well, what is that? What do you mean 5-star? And he goes, no, that's a 5-star player, just being a 5-star player. So it was kind of funny. But like, do you coach that? Where that walk player that's on the running back side, he is aware that he is the read and he's staying at home and he's jumping up, he's reading the quarterback just like the quarterback's reading him. I mean, do they coach
exactly.
that?
Yep. And I think part of that is that you kind of know that, hey, the ball is going to be right here. So if that's where the ball is at, there's no need to really fly in or flat, because most times when teams get beat on RPOs, what happens is either this guy plays too heavy on that pass slant, or he plays too tight to the box on the quarterback or the run give, and now he's too tight. And then when the quarterback pulls it, and the athletic quarterbacks we're seeing, that do it really well, that are pulling that ball. Well, now that guy has to try to retrace back, and now it's 5, 6, 7 yard gains, or even 10 plus if it's a poor a tackle. But if you're sitting right here bouncing and not moving, and you've got your apex alignment, well, now you're telling this guy make the decision. And most quarterbacks, and again, I've been a defensive guy my whole career, but just talking with offense coaches, most quarterbacks are taught if they're ever in doubt of this read, just hand it off and run inside zone. So and if they're going to hand it off and run inside zone, beautiful, because right now we're in great shape. We've got, right here, we got our one tech. He's taking care of that. Our tackle's taking care of that with the two, the 4-eye technique with the two blockers. He's taking care of that. Our Mike can take care of this. This guy can work down, inside out, make the picture right. So if you are getting wind back, he's there. Your rover's going to be part of the picture. So, you can get your numbers and you're in good shape, but, you don't have to, fly out of there or anything like that. And I think if you're getting RPO teams, it's doing that. Now, what offenses are really starting to do now is, they've kind of realized defenses are doing the stuff with the underneath defenders. So now you're starting to get more third level RPOs where, hey, it's pullers and influencing those second level guys, and now running post balls or vertical and dig routes behind it.
Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, like I said, what other questions do you have? I kind of gave you, some good things here and there, and I'm willing to talk about whatever you'd kind of want to, dive into more, or anything at all you'd be interested in.
I'm pretty sure that you watched, the Georgia and the TCU game. And, I'm not an expert on TCU or Georgia's offense, but, what did you see from that game that you possibly think offensive coaches are going to take from that? Or is it just, as a defensive coach or an offensive coach, people always ask me, Troy, I'm going against the wing T this week. What should I run? I always tell them run what you run, because the best teams do what they do. So probably it was just being Georgia better than TCU being TCU. But if coaches are studying that game film, what do you think that teams are going to try to do to this 3 safety defense from watching that national championship game?
I think what you're going to see, Troy, I think you're going to see an evolution of offenses are going to go back to multiple tight end sets, multiple and tight end 21 fullback sets, and basically kind of say if you're going to sit in that, then we're going to run the ball right at you and try to get bigger bodies on hybrid types and see if we can get 3, 4, 5 yards a chunk. And I think coordinators that are patient enough at doing that and running it, I think we'll have some success. I think defensively, as defensive coaches, we've got to be ready that if we're running this structured stuff, we've got to know that if we're going to get 2 tight end sets, how are we going to fit it? If we're going to get 2 backs, what are we going to get into? How are we going to fit it? And again, making sure we fit it to everything. I think in this defense, you have enough answers if you're getting empty 3x1, 2x2, and really spread game. I think the thing you've got to really look at is, are your run fits good versus, 2 backs? Are they good versus 12 personnel, 2 tight ends? Are they good versus, those heavier personnel sets? And I think it all comes back to, your basic defensive principles. You've got to be able to gap everything out, have a body for a body. You've got to have great fundamentals, in your tackling and block destruction, regardless of what you want to do structurally. And I think probably the biggest thing is just from a teaching standpoint of really, teaching your kids, your players of what's the offense trying to do to us when they're running power and counter. What are they trying to do? They're trying to get 2 extra blockers at the point of attack. It's a gap scheme, or hey, it's a zone scheme. They're trying to, combo up. I think it's giving your kids the information to help them really see it and understand. All right, yes, this is our defensive call, but what are we taking away with it? What is it good against? And then what our team's going to try to do to us to kind of hurt us. And I think that can kind of, go across really anything offensively or defensively is, that teaching progression, really can help your kids. Cause I think, we were all dealing with kids now in a generation that they want to know the why, they're hungry for the why. If you can give them that why, if you can show them hey, this is why it's really important that you spill this, or, hey, this is why it's really important that, you fit this, they'll be able to kind of take that to the next level.
like just when you were talking, I was thinking about, you know, the Michigan game, TCU versus Michigan. And, you know, the first play of the game, when they broke that long run, it was like twins to the left. And, you know, they had the tight end was closed away from the twins. And there was a fullback to the right of the quarterback. And they ran ISO to the close side. And it hit for like 60-yard touchdown. And, I mean, it was like watching football from like 1985. And I loved it because, I mean, but you know, I guess there's not many people doing that anymore. So
Yep.
It was like, yeah, they just ran ISO and it went boom, gone.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is, you know, I think you've got to, you know, you've got to be able to be ready for you know that old school, you know, approach of teams running the ball at you and making sure it fits. I think the nice thing is where football's at right now is that, you know, the spread game is not going to go anywhere. And with the heavy run game and 12 personnel, you know, like I guess you would say old school mentality of football coming back is that offenses that blend the best of both worlds are going to be, you know, really dynamic. Is because you know, if you're able to spread people out, you know, and beat them with speed and you know, make them defend 3 and a third, you're going to be effective. But at the same time, if they have answers for when you go, you know, spread, but now you have answers when you tighten the formation and you've got 12 and 13 personnel guys running right at them, now you're going to be, you know, really an effective offense. And then defensively as well, you know, you've got to be able to, you know, yes, have answers for when teams spread you out, go empty, 3-by-1, you know, 2-by-2. But, you know, I think, you know, you've got to have answers now when they're starting to tighten it down and bring guys back, you know, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, you know, heavy run game. And I think, you know, the tried and true thing is defensively, if you can make a team one dimensional in whatever it is that they do, you've got a chance. And, you know, you've got to have sound option fits. You've got to have, you know, numbers at the point of attack, and you got to have great fundamentals. You know, I think that's probably the one thing is that, you know, when you're getting run game right at you in 12 personnel, tight sets, and all those things, you've got to be great at block destruction, you know, hand placement, running your feet, all those kind of things.
And I mean, let's say that you're playing a team and, you know, they're running the ball. You know, I know most coaches, they're like, okay, we need to add another guy in the box. So like, is the guy that you add into the box, is he the nickel? Or do you probably do both, but I mean, or is it one of those stat guys that you walk down to become like a 4-man? Like, I'm just trying to think, like, how does the defense, you know, change, you know, if they have to add more people into the box?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think when you get that, you know, you've got kind of two things. You can either, you know, roll those edge players up, you know, and really send pressure at it, you know, and kind of gap it out. And again, I think, you know, and I'll try to draw something up here to give you kind of a visual of it, you know, as I think if you're getting formations where, hey, teams are really, you know, running the ball right at you, or, you know, let me give you a tight end set if we got one here.
Yeah, I got to share
Get this out of here. Yeah, hold on. Let me get you a diagram here.
You know, so like adding people in the box, I got a question about that. And then like cover zero. Like, I mean, I think since you have, I mean, even though you call it it's the three high safety. I mean, really that extra player in the middle, I mean, you could run cover zero so easy. You said that you bring 7, but when you bring 7, are there any blitz peel players in there?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's something I think it's, you know, we have some things like that are built in where you're bringing that. You know, I think the thing is when you're running those cover zeros is that, you know, you've got to know what are you running against. If you're getting passing situations, I think it's great because I think you can outnumber the protection. And if you like the matchups with the guys you got, you know, it's really good. I think the one thing when you're sending pressure and playing man is that, you know, you've got to make sure you really work the option fits of it, you know, because when you're in man-to-man, you know, you don't necessarily get that overlap of a, you know, +1 or +2 defender because you're in man coverage and now you're putting guys in conflict. So I think that's something just to keep in mind with it. But absolutely, you know, if you're peel teching it, you've got, you know, great answers. You can get good numbers. And then again, if it's a passing situation, you're definitely, you know, hitting the point of attack. Let me see what else here. I'm trying to find that blank diagram to just kind of draw off of here for you. I hope that answered your question there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of questions. I mean, I understand it, and I like it, and I understand people are want to know more about it. But I mean, I think it, like you said, I mean, it's almost like a 3-4 defense, and there's a monster guy, and that monster guy, he goes basically to wherever you think the ball is going, or by the formation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing too is when you're looking at how you want to fit it and where you're getting your numbers is that what you're showing pre-snap is not necessarily what you're going to get to post-snap. Now the thing is, it still has to be sound enough if you get a tempo team, because you don't want to get caught if you're getting tempo to where you're showing one thing and then you're getting to another, but you get caught. So I think that. But the nice thing is with that 3-high shell across is you're keeping some consistency from a pre-snap standpoint. And now you can roll different guys down. If you want to roll that middle guy down, you can. If you want to roll that, one of the other safeties down, you can, and then take that middle guy and put him over the top. So, I mean, you can change, the variation or the triangle of how you're moving your pieces, with that. And it's different because, it's a 3-down front, and 3-down fronts, are a little bit, take a little bit more time, to pick up from a blocking standpoint for offensively, than maybe a 4-down. So I think you give them some variation, but now you have, like you said, you have that hybrid where you have a 3-down, 3-4 structure, but you've got the added bonus piece of that middle player that you can play with. And, again, it's you can put him all over the field, and he can be, like you said, that monster guy that you're not really sure where he's at or where he's going. And now you can give people some fits, and you can, make it look like something completely different, but you're playing a lot of base situational stuff.
Yes, I mean, I appreciate you coming on, Dan, and I mean, we would love to have you back, man. I mean,
Absolutely,
you're such
absolutely.
a great
Anytime, yeah, anytime. Like I said, love talking ball. Our staff does as well. Very appreciative of that opportunity. And we got a great staff here. We got a great head coach. Coach Morgan's a great head coach, phenomenal person. I've known him for a decade. Coach Suchak, our defensive coordinator, phenomenal DC to work for, has a great football mind. Our offensive staff, Coach Tomasetti, Jeff Tomasetti, Matt Kelleher, Devin Altland, our doors are always open, spring ball, would love to have, you guys come on up, or anything that you ever need. We're very wide open. We're located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's a great university, Division II in the PSACs. I mean, we're very excited about being here, and, love talking game football, and we have an open door policy, anything that guys, ever need. And I know our whole staff would love to talk ball with you. Like you said, we're very fortunate here. Coach Morgan, our head coach, is all about, getting back to the game of football and knowledge. So, I mean, anything anybody would ever need, don't hesitate to reach out and contact us.
Yes. Thank you. Appreciate you. Anything else you'd like to leave Totem Pole with, and the Championship Football Coaches Clinic? People can get in touch with you on Twitter, or what do you recommend?
Yeah. My Twitter is @dbearddan. Feel free to shoot me an email. No problem at all. Contact there, or my email is daniel.beard@millersville.edu. And my cell phone as well. I'll give that out. I have no problems. Give me a call. My cell number is 443-255-8258. Anytime. Love talking football. Any questions that you have. Like I said, we start spring ball the middle of March. We have an open door policy. Anybody ever wants to come watch practice, watch film, anything at all. Like I said, we've got a great staff here, and we're really excited to be here. We've got a great group of kids, great administration. So, I mean, anything that anybody would ever need, we'd love to have you guys here.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
No problem, man. Hey, you got any